In this Rhino Grasshopper tutorial, I wanted to model something like this, which I was searching for a parametric table and I found this one. So we're going to start from scratch, and as you can see, we have a simple box scaled up, and we're going to just change this. As you can see, I'm going to change this control points. Maybe we want to bring that up or down, and we can even scale the middle in the X or in the Y direction, and we can control the number of the parts we need here. We can decrease or increase them, so you can see we can have a part of that, and also we can control the thickness of those parts which are going to be making that table. At the end, be sure to watch the tutorial till the end, because I'm going to show you how you can make those parts and put a number for them. That you can see that it's A0, which is going to be these parts here. Let me show you. So we're going to say the level 0 and then 1, 2, and till the end, and the next series are going to be the B's. So we're going to also control that and make them on the ground. You can also download this algorithm from our website, so you can use it in your projects. It's really a great one, and you can even fabricate that and those wooden things to make the table. Let's get started from scratch, and what I want to do is to first of all, let's get the table here. We have to model this in Rhino. You can model that in Grasshopper too, but because I want to make that as simple as possible, let's just put that into 0. I want to start with a simple box. So let's go to the box and draw a box here. And now what I want to do is to control this shape. A technique you can use in Rhino is to type cage edit, which is a great tool to control form. So I'm going to use the cage edit tool. First of all, I'm going to use the bounding box. So it's going to cover all of my geometry. The plane is the world. So coordinate system, I'm going to just right click or space. And then you can see that we have to control the number of the X, Y, and Z points. I have put the X count to 2 and 2, and that is because I want to have 2 control points in the X direction, and then I want 2 control points in the Y direction because it's a box, and 3 because I want another controlling at the center of that. You can even increase that to 4 if you want to have more control on the shape. Okay, space or right click, and now the region to edit is global, and now we have the control of this. So if I just select all of these control points at the center and use the shift key, you can scale that to a smaller one. You can see that's simple, or you can scale it in the X direction and give it another dimension. Okay, so we can control that. We can even move these control points up and down to control the form. Maybe we just need to move these 4 points down or up, or maybe even make it bigger here and smaller at the bottom. So I'm just going to scale this a little bit and assume that this is the base form we want to start with. Then we can change that after we write the algorithm. Okay, I'm going to go to the geometry. Let me just make this a little bit bigger and put the bifocals plugin. Now it's the B-rep. Right click and set this, and let's just put it right here. Because I want to change the shape and see the table, I'm going to simply move that a little bit in the X direction. So you can just skip this step, but this will help you maybe for 120. Control that later. So you can just have the results here, okay? And we can just turn that off to see the results. Okay, I'm just going to put that to maybe 200 and control the distance from the results. This is the basic geometry we're going to work on it. Okay, the first thing I want to do is, this is really simple if you think about it. If we have a series of sections from the box, we will have a rectangle here. Assume that this one is here. The second one is going to be this one. I'm drawing this as a red because I want to say this is the next layer. And at the end, what we want to do is to, for those rectangles, pick up two edges. So this is for this layer, and for the next layer, assume that this one is for the next layer. We're going to pick up these two edges. So it's not really complicated. We just have to have two series of edges and extract the edges what we want. I'm going to just simply say, because I want to use this intersection vrep plane and intersect that with a plane, I'm going to simply say array and pick up the linear array tool and make a linear array of an XY plane. This is really easy because you can make that to slice the geometry. This is the XY plane I want to array. The direction is the Z direction. And because it's on the XY plane, here we go. We can just say 2.5. This is the thickness, so we can control the thickness by this number, okay? And the number of the count can be maybe 12 to 200. We can increase that because we want to be sure those planes are going to intersect all of the sections of the geometry. Okay, that's done. We're going to go to the intersection and use this vrep plane and use that to find intersection. If we increase the thickness, perhaps we will have smaller sections and we will miss that. At the top, remember you have to control this. You can even decrease the number so it doesn't go till the end. Maybe that's better to have it at the top, okay? Remember, if you increase that so it's going to exceed the geometry, it's going to give you a red error, and that means that intersection is failing. If I just zoom here, you can see that some of them is going to be 0. You can just get rid of that easily by right-clicking and flattening the output, so you have all of those available polylines. That is a technique you can use to be sure you don't have any problems with the data. But if I just put that down, you can see that it's going to fix the errors. Okay, now what we have to do is to simply just turn this off. We have to play with those curves. I'm going to use the dispatch. If you don't know about flatten, I'm going to put up a tutorial which is related to flatten and graph so you can understand the groups. And also, because I want to dispatch them into two groups, and perhaps if you don't know about Grasshopper, you have to learn dispatch. I'm going to put up another tutorial which is related to dispatch up here, okay? So the default of dispatch is true false. It's going to make that a true and a false, and again true and a false up to the end, and it's going to give us two true and false groups. That is how we can do that and bring it into the list A and list B. Just turn everything off. You can see that we have two set of rectangles. Let's turn this off and work with this one. And after we finish the algorithm, we can just copy this for the second series. Okay, now that was easy. We have to go to the curve and use this explode thing. I'm going to explode that. And now we have those segments and vertices. I'm going to pick up this with a set and a list item. So here we go. We pick up the first edge, which is this one, and we need also this edge. So it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. That's it. So for this rectangles and or squares, we're going to pick up 0 and 2. And for the next series, we're going to pick up 1 and 3. Remember that. So I'm just going to zoom in and pick up all 0, 1, 2, 3, and just use the 0 and 2 edges. Let's just turn this off. Now what we have to do is to assume that these are the edges we want to work with. We have to simply extrude them in the Z direction and in the Y direction. So I'm going to first of all extrude that in the Z direction. Let's bring this up, and I'm going to put that for the Z. That is going to be the thickness of the wooden parts. We have to give that exactly the same amount we give it here for the array. So I'm going to put that here and connect it to the Z direction, and that's going to control exactly the thickness, okay? Remember, you can just right click here and type thickness That will just fix everything. And we can even increase the number of the parts till it's just having all the shape. Okay, here we go. Again, we have to extrude the second parts and we'll have it here. I'm going to also use another extrusion in the Y direction now, and also another one in the Y direction. One of them has to be Y and another one has to be minus Y. So I'm going to just go to direction, expression, and type minus X, which means it's going to be in the negative direction. Now we can control also the width of those wooden parts. I'm going to say maybe 2.5, and here we go, we can control that. That is how we can get that done, and here it is. Okay, so what I want to do is to just copy this, all of this, but we don't need the amount for the width. I'm going to just put that as W and put it up here and copy this. Control C, Control V, bring it down. And remember, we have to work with this series. Now we have to go with the 1 and the 3, just as I explained that. The extrusion in the Z direction is fine, but we have to now extrude that in the X direction. So instead of using the Y, we have to use the X. Give that to the directions. Give the number we give to the widths to this one in the X direction. You can see that the direction is wrong, so I'm going to put that minus X out from this one and add a minus X to the next one. So here we go, and that's it. That's how you can model that easily in Grasshopper. That is really beautiful. You can see that those parts have been controlled with this width, which have the same width if we want to, and also we have the thickness which we can control, and the number of the parts which we will have. Assume that some of them are going to miss our model. So if I just come here and select the control and control points, I can move that again. Just move that here. And you can see that's going to change the shape. Select this one, and maybe just want to move that. Okay, you can see how beautiful it is. Grasshopper is really easy to make the coding because you can see the results and control those errors and finally make the model. Okay, so that's how we can make those parts for the table. The last part is to put these sections on the ground. Okay, so the thing that I want to explain is that those widths and the height is known here. This is the widths we have used, but I want to show you a technique which you can use it for any parts. Maybe you have different sizes, so this technique is really a good one if you want to use this for any sections with different widths. I'm going to use the Shift key and bring them all into one VREP and flatten this, because I want them all in one group, not. So if you can see, if I don't flatten this, those parts are going to be each in one group. So these are in one group. That is called, this one is the first group, and that's going to go to the second group, and so on. We don't need that. I'm going to flatten this so we have all of those parts, and we just want to put them on the ground and see the results. So I'm going to turn the control points off, move that a little bit forward here, and put it on the ground. Let's go to the surface and deconstruct VREP. We can use that to deconstruct those into faces, and you can see that each of them will have 6 faces. That's fine. Each box has 6 faces. We can just pick up the face we want. The list item for 0 is this one, so perhaps we have to give this a number slider and see which is the correct one. You can just extract the bottom or the top, doesn't really matter, so I'm going to put that. Okay, 2 is the top, that's fine. So that's what we need to select. Let's just turn this off. These are the parts we need. So I'm using this technique We can have another way of putting those on ground because we know the widths of that and we know those size, but this is going to help you to just put anything on the ground. Let's go and use the Orient. We have used Orient direction before, but this time I'm going to use the Orient. We have also maybe used that in different tutorials. The Orient tool is really good one to make those sections on the ground. Let's connect a curve to this. So I'm going to extract the edges and not the surfaces. We want to put that on the ground. The source plane and the target plane. So which plane is those curves are sitting on? I'm going to connect a plane. This is a trick you can use when those curves are flat. So we are sure about that and we can just put that here. And the target is really important. We want to make a target so they are sitting on the ground. Again, I'm going to use the array linear using the XY plane. We can extract the origin and we just can put that anywhere we want. The direction is going to be the X. The distance, I'm going to control that to define the distance between those parts. Remember that. And the count is really important because we have 30 parts. I'm going to go to the sets and use the list length to count the data. So this is a great tool to count. And now we have this 30, we give this to the count, and we have 30 of those XY planes. That is going to be on the target. If I give that to the target, you can see that there's a problem, and that is because we have two grouped data, and this one is not. I'm going to right click and graph, so make that into groups, and that's it. So let's just decrease the distance, and you can see that those parts are sitting here exactly what we want to. So remember, this is really easy. I'm going to also make a copy from this one and bring it down and maybe give this to the next part. So use the shift key and move the control point down. This is the B part. Okay, so that was for the A part. Let's see if I just change the control points. For example, in the X direction, we'll have different results. You can see these are two different results, and these are the curves from here. These are the curves from here, and we have two set of groups. I'm going to fix that later. Okay. So remember, you can just control those points and the distance if you just want to have those distance. Let's get back to here and see what we can do for the numbering of those parts. That's really easy. You can go to the surface and find the area of that, which is the centroid, or you can go to the curve and use the polygon center, which will give you the centroid. Also, it's faster, but it will give you three outputs: center of vertices, edges, and area, which is not really different for those parts. Now we have to just number that. Because I want to teach you how you can make a group, I'm going to type a panel here. You can even just double click here and type 2 forward slashes and have this panel, and let's just type A. Okay, we want those A0, A0, A1, A1, A2, A2, because I explained that these are in rows of different heights, so I'm going to just make that 2 by 2. What we can do here is to make a series of number, and series is really great. If you don't know about series, I'm also going to put up a tutorial which is related. And the start is going to be 0, the step is 1, and now the count, when we had this one, which was 30, we have to divide that in the math section into 2 parts. So we have 15 sets, and if I give that to the series, remember it's going to be like 0, 1, 2 to 14. So these are the group 0, these are the group 1, and that till the end. Okay, now I'm going to use a cool technique. You're going to learn 2 great tools. One is the duplicate one, and another one is the repeat. So I'm going to explain the difference between them. The repeat is really easy. If you want to repeat that A maybe 30 times, because we want to make A for each of them. That's going to make 30 A's. That's really great. Now for the series, I'm going to give that the number of duplicates is going to be 2 because we need maybe like 0, 0, then it's going to be 1, 1, and then it's going to be 2, 2 till the end. And the order, you can see that it has two orders like true and false. If I just zoom in, you can see it's like 0, 1, 2. It's going just like the order of this. I'm going to make that false and see what happens. That's exactly what we need, 0, 0, 1, 1 till the end. Now we have to join them. So I'm going to just type join, use the text join. This is the text. Let's just join them. And because we have to combine them with each of those in one group, I'm going to graft each of that and use the shift key to join them. So you can see the problem here is that they are not combining in one group. They are in different groups because we have to see that n equals to 2 here, right? So the problem is that these two are different with zeros. I have also explained this. If you want to watch the graph and flatten, that's going to help you. Right click and simplify will help you to get rid of those zeros, and here we have them. That's all of those two combined. And you can even join that with maybe just a slash like this, and if I let's just join the A first and then the numbers. It's going to be like this, A0 until the end. We don't need anything to join it. And here is exactly what we need. That was the way you can produce the numbers. And at the end, we're going to go to the display and use the tag 3D here, text tag 3D. And the location is the centroid. Where is those centroids? I have to find that. Okay, we just give the center be here. The text we needed was here, and you can see that it's going to come on the centroid. The justification, I'm going to put that in the middle center. Let's give this a size. That's it. Just turn off the centroids. And now we have those numbers. If you want to bake that, you can just bake that in a layer and then just simply select the layer and explode it if you want those curves, okay? Remember we have explained that in the previous tutorial. Okay, that was the part you can number those things. Again, we have to select this part, okay? Copy this and bring it like here. The geometry will be this one. We need a B for the next part. Everything is okay because the centroid has been moved. That's it. You can see that we have those sections. Let's just decrease the number because maybe we want to fabricate that in smaller parts and with more thickness. That's how we can make that easily, and that is really beautiful. Let's just turn everything off. What we need here is the oriented curves, the text tags, and then we can also turn on those V-reps if we want to see those solids. So I'm going to bake that into layer 1 and bake that into layer 2. That off. And here we have the results. So that was how beautiful and easy it is to produce a table with a parametric table with Grasshopper. You can see those details. Perhaps we need a little bit of an extending thing. Just for a tip for those who want to make that happen is to, let's just go back. A little bit of a trick you can do here is to go to those curves and let's say extend. Here, let me just turn this on so you can understand this. So if you want to give it an extension, you can just simply connect it to extension. The type is a line and say 2.2 extension at the start and the end. That's it. You can see that we have extended that, and also we have to give that the same extension for the next set of curves here. That's going to control better. Okay, now let's just turn on the second part. That's going to help you to just put that so it sits on each of those parts. That's really beautiful. You don't need to extend both of them, but you can see if you want to, you can extend it if you want to just have a better result. So remember, you can just extend those parts and get that result. So I'm going to fix that and put that in the algorithm so you can download and use that. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope that's useful for you, and build your projects with it, and maybe send me your pictures and I'll share with the community. And thanks for watching this tutorial. Remember to like this and comment about it. How did you feel? Was it easy? Was it useful? And see you next time.